Just get on with it. Where I live's like 5 minutes from the street. And he's just
Be on the bookcase.
There's a guy that's just joined, actually. He looks like Kevin Abergel, but I don't recognise
Oh my
him.
God. Dave Evans, holy shit. I haven't seen you in how long, man? How you been?
It's very good, thank you, Kevin. And more importantly, how's the little one?
Oh, good. I'm not getting any sleep, but
Good.
yes, that's number 2 now. So I just had a baby, guys.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
You look like you've eaten it as well, by the way.
Yes,
We're all putting on a bit of weight, I know, but
Nicely
It
put.
happens. It happens.
So welcome, Paul Stead. He hasn't got his 80s haircut. Happy International Women's Day. Is that today again?
No, it's Monday.
Where do I
the 8th.
play? Where do I play?
It's like every 6 months.
How many do you want?
Can you pick your own particular one, or do you just get one you sent?
You put down. It's like the COVID jab. You turn up and they give you one or the other.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. I don't think I'll bother with that. No.
Is it International Men's Day? Are we allowed to have one?
You've got 300
Every day, National Men's Day.
It's International Book Day.
So Robert Godwin, you haven't sent me a virus in ages. Thanks, mate.
No problem. I had a very interesting round of connections with people that I hadn't spoken to in ages. So nothing like a virus to bring everyone together.
Yeah.
I didn't get a virus. I don't know. Does that mean anything?
Yes, we weren't intimate enough to provide the virus. However, Kelvin and I, on the other hand,
Probably means you were using a Mac if you didn't get the virus.
I have both. I have my Mac right over here. So.
I'm a PCL.
Got an email from Robert and he said, open this. This is the latest round of funding or something. And I said, is this for real? Do you owe me money? He went, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I got hit pretty hard, actually. I had to, luckily, I back everything up. So I went to a pre-virus backup. That helped. But they had reconfigured my Outlook so that everything was going to junk mail. And after about the second day, I realized, okay, I should have been hearing from some people. And there were 384 emails in my junk folder, about half of which were reasonably important. So. My recommendation is don't get viruses.
No, I mean, well, just wear protection, so.
I have my mask. Is that what you meant?
Don't click with strangers.
Again, so Paul, you seem to sorted your hair out from last week. Well done.
Goodbye, Mrs. Stead, who could look at me no longer. And now she can see more of me. She wished she'd left it there.
So I guess we're into this now. There's probably going to be some more people coming on. But I'm going to hand it over to Milo.
So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. And Kevin, thank you very much for being our guest today.
Thanks for inviting me, Milo.
That's okay. We appreciate clever people, joining us. Our group of clever people. So this is fantastic to have you with us. Thank you very much for coming. I just wanted to highlight that Kevin, for those who don't know, that Kevin is a part of MGI. Yeah. So oh, hold on. There's another people coming. So okay. So if you could just tell us, why do you make such ugly digital presses?
I love that question. Oh man, you guys, no holds barred. Huh? It's funny because I had one customer a couple of years back on a trade show. Oh, you guys make the Russian refrigerators, right? And that's how they referred to her machines, because they just look like so boxy and to be honest, that's a good question. I think we put more thought into what goes inside the box than what goes on the outside, but you're right. We could definitely do a good job of making sexier machines.
That's cool. So how did you get into print? Come on, let's tell us the story.
All right. So some of you guys might know this, but my father, my two uncles started MGI, in 1982 in the back of my my uncle's garage, really. So it was one of those stories where, they had an idea. My grandfather was an offset printer, so he was like a pressman. So they really grew up in that environment where, like, during the weekends and after school and during summer vacations, that's how they made extra money. Is my two uncles, my father worked in the print shop. So it's really in the vein. And even on my mom's side, believe it or not on the MGI side, but he actually manufactured machines in France back in the 30s and the 20s for printing industry. So really, it's on both sides of the family. And basically, I've been printing since I was a kid, man. I mean, I remember being 10 years old, coming in, licking envelopes for press releases. Back in the day, we had to send press releases by mail, and I'd literally just lick envelopes all day and get dizzy and high from whatever that they had on that. And then, yeah, so I worked at MGI my whole life. I've done every possible job at MGI. I was a janitor at MGI. I've worked, I put pallets together. I've shipped machines. I worked in the technical department. I worked in the US here. I worked in France at the headquarters. And basically, like, dude, this is my life. Like, I know this company so well because it's basically, I've been here since I was a kid. So, I mean, it's in the blood.
So what do you do now? Well, what's
What
your role?
So now my role is I'm basically in charge of sales and marketing for North America, South America, and Asia Pacific for MGI. So it's a little territory. It's not excessive, but it's kind of weird since COVID hit. It's I think a lot of us who are road warriors that are on this call have had to kind of adapt to life without travel, and so yeah. So that's what I do at MGI. But ultimately, that's my real passion. Is now I'm spending a lot of time with our customers, trying to develop a community of users and helping them during COVID go out and sell. So a big part of what I'm trying to do now is coming up with ideas on how to get them in front of creatives, how to get our customers in front of agencies, brands, teach them how to sell, what's coming off their presses, telling them, how to do account management, how to do these things to try to get them to be more successful. Because I think ultimately, if we can help them get through, some of these tough times, I think that's kind of our role. That's what we should be doing. So that's kind of my passion now is helping our customers be successful with the machines that they already bought. I think it's important.
Cool. Okay, so you French? You French, aren't you?
Yes,
on U.S. soil.
I'm French, so yes, I was born.
You're gonna make him say it, eh? You're gonna force him to say it.
There he is, Warren. Thank you. Yeah. So yes, I'm French. I was born in French. I use the French accent in very selective situations when I need to. But I grew up here, so a lot of people, don't believe me when I start, speaking in French. They look at me like, what's going on? Because I have a very American accent. But yeah.
So do you struggle getting decent wine and cheese in where you are?
I do.
You miss it?
Well, it's the cheese is harder to get here. I think the wine, you can import good French wine, and you know what? You guys should really try some of these Napa wines because they've really been, I think, catching me off guard on how good some of these wines are. But the cheese is almost impossible to get. So hard to do.
All right, so let's go to the subject about digital embellishment. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Why is the digital embellishment different from the traditional one, from the traditional process? Can you
All right, so that's a good
elaborate
question.
a little bit?
So why is it different? So traditional embellishment is an analog process, right? So you have to make dies, you have to make screens, you have to make counter dies. There's a lot of, I think, it's almost like a black art, to be honest today, to find like good operators, and that's a big issue. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but to find good operators that know embellishment, they're all mostly of a certain age. They're all retiring. They're not really training the next generation, the millennium coming in. And so what analog is beautiful. Let's be honest. It's really wonderful what we're able to do with analog technologies, but it's not necessarily appealing to what's currently going on with the shift in towards digital. For example, short runs are getting shorter. Everybody talks about that. Everybody knows the runs are getting shorter. Variable data is a thing now. If I want to do something printed on my digital press, let's say I have an Indigo, and I want to go and put foil stamping or varnish on it, it's going to be hard to register to it because digital print moves around. So when you look at analog, it's good for what it does in terms of long runs, being very static product. But I think what digital does is, number one, it democratizes the process. So it's like it makes it easy, right? So anybody could bring that stuff in, because most printers, I don't know how many printers are on the call here, but I'm pretty, like 95% of the printers on this call probably don't have that capability to do screen printing or screen printing or foil stamping in house. The ability to really be a press button operation in a way to bring that in house, to be able to push it instead of suffer through it when a customer asks you is one of the biggest difference, I think, with embellishment. I don't know, what do you guys think? Any of you guys do traditional foiling today, or no?
Warren?
I don't do any foiling now, but in the past we were doing a lot of foiling. And actually, when I was talking to Kevin a little bit ago, we were doing a lot of digital work on an MGI machine, not ours, but through a trade finisher. And if I go back about 3 years ago, we did a sample book on the iGen 5 for ourselves, which I then sold to Xerox using all different paper, all different textures,
Awesome.
all different varnishes, layers, you name it. And it was great. It sells. I think the equipment, aside from it being really expensive, but Kevin doesn't have any say in the costing part of it, I think it really gives the end user the potential to do all kinds of craziness, and the cost is not relevant because you're going to put out short volume for what you need.
Yeah,
like I think the days of talking about the cost of print is not worth it anymore, because everything else, I mean, it's the iceberg theory, right? By the time they spend print, they've already spent $10 for every dollar of print.
I love that. Yeah, totally. And that's the problem today, is that we're having to realize that, a lot of printers don't know how to sell value. And that's a big issue, I think, in our industry as a whole, is everybody's afraid of being, tagged as the expensive guy in town, and they don't understand what they have. And I think, you kind of nailed it. We have some customers, this is crazy. They charge $1,000 an hour. All right, think about this for a second. $1,000 an hour for agencies and brands to come in and to do prototyping sessions. And they'll throw in, okay, let's raise the varnish here. Let's do some gold foil. Let's some holographic on top of the silver foil. Let's do this. Let's do that. And like in 2 or 3 hours, they're going to walk out with like 150 different prototypes of different looks and different feels and different images. And then guess what? So the printer just made, $2,000. This guy's going to walk out with like 100 or 150 prototypes. He's going to go to his pitch meeting with Nike and just absolutely obliterate that shit, because who else is going to bring that kind of stuff to a pitch meeting to say, hey, why don't you print with me? So I think, the ability to have agencies now come in and do the prototyping sessions with the printers are making money. And then let's say the agency gets the Nike job. Who do you think he's going to send it to? So it's using equipment as a sales tool, not just as a production tool, is kind of unique, what I've been seeing.
Hey, Kevin, can I dissect that just a little bit? You kind of mixed two things there, and I want to make sure that I understood it. It's the agency that's pitching it. They're pitching that they have ideas that will use these technologies, as opposed to pitching print. And so they are selling the value, whereas the printer is, again, selling what it is that they can do. I think that when you discussed what the old school approach was, letterpress level, die cutting and blind embossing, all that kind of stuff, I'm going to say it's irrelevant now. Not that there's not a market for it, but it's irrelevant in the sense that you can push a button now and get all those, as you said. You can do most of the effects that are there. It's that value proposition that's so important about selling the embellishment. That's what's critical. And what I would love to see, and maybe hear from you, because you probably experienced it firsthand, is printers who are saying, oh, I heard the agency guy really talk this stuff up in a certain way. I'd love to see those print salespeople steal all that magic that the agency guys are able to say and start to sell it from that level. And
So
I don't think it steps on the
agree.
agency.
Well, remember, the agencies have the relationship with the brands. So that's why what we need to concentrate on is how do printers create that direct relationship with the agencies who are going to be purchasing it. And the agencies, when they're going to go pitch this to the brands, they're not going to say that it was done on a jet varnish. They're not going to say that they're using printer
No one
XYZ
cares
from the.
because no one cares at that level. Right.
Right. Somebody's going to be
Right.
like, holy shit, nobody's ever brought 100 different prototype boxes with my name on it in Boston foil to a pitch meeting. You have ideas, Mr. Agency. You are somebody I want to do business with. And the agency goes, oh my God, Kevin really saved my ass on this. Thanks to him, I landed Nike. I'm going to send him more work because he's given me ideas that are helping me land the right customers. So sometimes we talk about value is not necessarily only money. I think being able to create relationships for customers, for let's say press printers and agencies, that's also value because relationships are worth something in this industry today. Now, I think I could let Warren go on PMCs and how that's kind of disrupting that whole relationship. But I think today value is not necessarily only about money and be able to charge for what you think something is worth. I think it's able to make yourself indispensable to people like agencies. So that they can keep coming back to you. I think I could be
Go
wrong.
on, Warren. I think I can see you ready to say
Well,
something.
I'm sitting and I'm listening and I'm thinking back to Sappy Paper. Sappy Paper, as far as I can remember, is probably one of the best papers on the market. They, as a company, have done more for paper and relationships and showing people what could be done than any other print company, I think, with the UV and all the stuff. I mean, they spend money. What I'm coming to now is I'm thinking the real problem in our industry, the print industry, is coming down to the printer, the owner, and the salespeople. Because all these conversations end up with how do we get to where we want to go? So it goes back to the agency who has the relationship. Why does the agency have the relationship? Because the printer's not doing their job. Right?
Not necessarily, Warren. I disagree
No,
with that.
It is necessarily because most of the people that you talk to, when I was selling the embellishing, anything I sold was for top dollar and margin because I don't want to work for free. Period.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that brands, they don't go to printers for ideas. Agencies that do all their entire communication.
Yeah, well, no one goes to the printer for ideas unless you're with a printer who thinks they're an agency and has ideas because they want to build that relationship. So what I'm saying is, so what I'm saying is most print companies, and I guess I'm going to say it this way because I'm getting tired of listening, are bloody stupid. Because it's 20 years of listening to the same conversation and the owners have not gone out with the salespeople to figure out to properly send the right message and relay it. And then it all comes back and says, well, how do we sell that? The truth is, I don't need you, Kevin. I like you. I don't need you to teach me how to sell your product. I could figure that out on my own. What amazes me, I guess, is that all these people that don't know how to figure out what's in front of them because it really is easy. Or is everyone just dumb?
Andy Galloway for 151 years. Do you agree with that? You're on mute, mate.
I didn't hear your question, Calvin.
Andy Galloway's been printing for 151 years.
Yeah, carry on.
What Warren's just come up with? Do you agree?
Do I agree? I think I agree with the chat. I think that the agencies have a closer connection with the brands. And in particular, we will always have a mix of customers between direct customers who want certain services, and as long as we fish in with the brands, we're going to have a mixed message. And then it's working your percentages of direct customers and agency customers, and you have to play two fiddles.
There's a lot of printers that don't deal with agencies. Like we keep talking printers. We should discuss maybe the amount of printers out there and how many different categories that they all play in, because we seem to come back and talk about certain things when it really is spread out. The majority of printers I mean, big printers maybe, but the majority of small printers are not dealing with agencies.
But Neil's just said the printers wouldn't deal with him. Sorry, agencies wouldn't deal with him as a printer.
Why would they? Because whoever went to call on the agency didn't know how to attract them.
Sharon's been waving her hand furiously. Sharon, don't wait for these guys to let you talk. Just dip in there, go.
Okay,
they're
you know, Sharon and John.
I'm Canadian now, so I'm very polite.
You're making me look bad. You're making me look bad.
Night Canadians.
You're from Quebec, Warren.
The thing we can all learn from agencies is that, yes, they have the relationship with the brand, but the agencies are selling ideas. They have cornered the market on selling ideas. They're not selling print. They're not selling advertising. They're not selling press releases. They're selling ideas, and that's what sells. So the relationship, of course, is important, but if you have a relationship with the brand, but you can't actually sell the ideas, then they're not going to buy your print.
That's different. This is what I was trying to get to with Kevin. That's very different. The agencies sell ideas based on marketing, what will work with people. They know the audience, they understand what's there. But the art directors, the creatives, are the ones who need to know what tools are available. It would be like saying that, well, the agencies need to know that there's pencils that are invented, and the client needs to know that pencils are invented. They don't.
Actually, Robert,
they need to know how they're going to approach a market. And that's what the printers can do. And I hate to talk about the past, but I have been on lunch and learns with agencies, with major agencies in Los Angeles, where they said, what can you guys do? I want you to present to my creative team so they know what's possible. Then they come up with the ideas, and then they market and say that Milo is going to really enjoy this box when he opens it, and we have a way to produce it. That's where their relationship is. The relationship doesn't have to be with Nike and the brand. It has to be with the people who are the creatives. Move upstream, for Christ's sake.
Yes. So I completely agree. Oh, sorry.
A lot of agencies sell the idea first and then figure out how to create it afterwards.
Go on.
So we come up with ideas, and then once we have an idea, then we say to our team, okay, go and figure out how to do it. And then they go researching to the printers and all the other companies to try and figure it out.
Okay, so Joanne, I'm just looking who is raising their hand because there's a lot of raised hands. So Joanne, Kevin, and then Neil, please.
Okay, so one thing I wanted to add here is this is no different than trying to sell web to print software. The printers this is very specific. The printers know what web to print software is. They know what it is, but their customers don't know web to print. But the printers who purchase a web to print solution will then go and market that they now offer web to print to their customers. And they are completely missing the mark because their customers don't know about web to print. Their customers just want to be able to shop online. So the fact that the printer is now providing that opportunity is what needs to come through. And it's the same thing with embellishments. It's not the fact that, oh, we offer digital embellishments. It's we can take your product and actually add a third dimension to it. And then you talk about the value of having that experience of touch and why that matters. And it's not just about direct mail. It's every time you can put a brand and make it physical and put it into your buyer's hand, they will remember it longer. That's the bottom line. The studies, the science is there.
Totally.
That's what needs to be communicated and shared. Why does this matter? Because you will sell more of your product because it has glitter or rhinestones or soft touch or shiny or matte or whatever it is that matters to your customers. That's the problem, the way I see it. And that's why printers keep selling print. It's never going to work.
Kevin?
Well, I think it comes down to education. And I think it really comes down to educating agencies on what's possible and then letting them digest what the technology can do and go out and find the ideas on how to sell that to the brands to make it work. So the first thing I ever did was, when we came out with our digital embellishment, the first press, some of you, I know, Dave, you've seen the video. I took it out to the streets of Paris. I made a video. It's pretty hilarious. many kilos lighter in that video.
I think you were just
Basically,
trying to hook some girls, though, Kevin. I've seen the video.
Yeah, totally was trying to. Anyways, I'm going up to random people in the streets of Paris and just showing them a sample and saying, "What do you think?" And what was kind of crazy is like everybody's first reaction was to touch, to touch, to touch, to touch, to touch, to touch. I was like, oh shoot, even you went to 9-year-old kids and you went to 7-year-old grandmothers, and they were just touching and feeling. Go, all right, there's something with the touch and feel. That's what we have to vehiculate. Is that I know who my customer is. It's you guys, the printer. I know who your customer is. It's the agencies and the brands. But at the end of the day, you have to keep in mind who their customer is, and that's everyday people who are in the stores or going to the mailbox. And I think as an industry, if we focused more on those people, I think maybe we could come up with some more creative stuff that might stick a little bit better.
As a supplier of MGI equipment in Canada, we noticed. Oh, just check. Am I on mute? No, I'm not.
No, you're not. We can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
We heard you swear.
So we observed that there were 3 types of clients, and there would be a client that was doing foiling already. So it was just simply extending themselves into short runs. They already had the clients. They would simply adopt new technology to get more business. Then we had customers that knew absolutely nothing, that they were going out on a wing and a prayer that they would hopefully extend their offering to some new market. The most difficult customers to sell to. In fact, often we would advise our sales reps to say, why don't they first go to a tray printer and a tray foil printer that's doing it and try their market out before they adopt the technology themselves. It'd be safer until they had enough volume, then they could adopt the technology. Then there was a third type, and a fairly high profile client of ours, Print Panther, was one who was small printer, but they were very, very good at embellishing all of their work, whether it meant cutting, folding, creasing, specialty work, specialty print, special foils. They were already doing it. So when they got the technology, they were able to run with it. And I asked Christine how she did it, and I watched her in action. There would be a customer. It could have been an agency. It could have been, in fact, she was in touch with some very high profile brand owners who would walk in and they would ask for some work to be done. She would bring it in the back. And while they were doing that work, she would have the people on the jet varnish embellish it and do something better. Then she would come back with what the customer needed, what the requirement was, the specification, and then couple it with something that would be better. And they would go, wow. Now that's a person that knows how to run their business and knows how to use the technology.
Okay, so well, we covered the value add a little bit. Can you help us with understanding what's available? If you could talk about the applications for a moment. What are the relevant applications?
All right, so the different applications that we're seeing. Well, anything that's printed can be embellished, really. Even now we're doing crazy things like shrink sleeve, embossed foil on shrink sleeve. But the question too is, what are the trending applications with COVID? And I think COVID's changed so much in terms of the applications that are hitting. For example, I don't know, in the UK, in the US here, there's a big opportunity around real estate printing. Are you guys seeing this, where everybody's moving out of the big cities and going into the countryside? And so everybody realized that, I could pay this much money for like a 1-bedroom studio, and for the same amount of money, I can do my lockdown and, my future life. I could live in the 3-bedroom house in the countryside. So right now, like, real estate printing is going through the roof for high-end houses, because, people used to spend a lot of money on their flats in like a nice city. We're also seeing, you guys don't have this yet, but you will, cannabis packaging. And so Warren. So is he? I wonder what Warren's gonna pull out here.
I'm gonna show you samples. Boxes. Flexible packaging.
Yeah.
Right. Recycled flexible packaging. It's all good.
Guys, it's a sexy market because these guys have so much money and they don't know what to do with it. And so they're just spending it all in doing incredible packaging. So in the US, right now, we're seeing just, a boom in our customers doing cannabis work, for anything from chocolates to edibles. It's like wine. It's like wine or liquor. Think of it that way. Once it hits in your industry, and if they legalize it in the UK or wherever you are, there's going to be a green rush, they're calling it here, where now they have trade shows for cannabis packaging. And this is all like in the past 2 years, and it's accelerated during COVID because guess what? COVID was deemed an essential business. I'm sorry, cannabis was deemed an essential business. So because our customers were doing cannabis boxes for edibles, legally, they were able to keep their doors open and keep printing. So weed saved the day in many cases here in the US because they were able to say, hey, I'm doing, essential work, even though, that could be discussed. So we have that, packaging and labels are always going to be doing well during a time where people are kind of, they're buying a lot of products from their house. So those are two huge applications we're seeing is really short run packaging. And I think, you think packaging and digital, and those two never really gone together. I don't know what you guys think, but I think packaging people are focusing too much on the Walmart, Marks and Spencers and Tesco type of applications, but really, local homemade, whether it's craft breweries or soaps or locally made products, that's a huge market that can really benefit from this kind of stuff. So, we talk about a digital world. You know what's crazy? Here's what's crazy. I used to get email invites for physical events, and now I'm getting physical invites for virtual events, and that's insane. And I think that's cool. And people are going all out on these invites because obviously they're not spending that kind of money to put on an actual physical event. So a lot of really fun applications that are starting to crop up.
Okay.
Did I talk too much? I'm sorry.
No,
guys.
no,
Sometimes I
no,
get
no,
so
no, it's all
excited
good.
about this stuff. Yeah.
It started in the UK, by the way. There's quite a few companies with a drive to print onto hemp-based products because of the green factor and recyclability. Not all digital devices can do it, but some can. I'm not trying to sell the cannabis, Sharon. If you need to buy it, go down the street corner like everybody else and tap up the.
It's direct mail. You can smoke.
Yes.
Okay, so when we were talking previously, Kevin, you mentioned to us the printed electronics.
Right.
Is this one of the routes as well?
So printed electronics. So there's two things. There's printed electronics, which is a market today that exists that manufacturers have, and they're using screen printing technology to do. And then you have this world of digital printed electronics that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is going to revolutionize everything. Look at where we're going as a society from a technological standpoint. We have electronics everywhere embedded in our watches and our clothes now. We have electronics basically everywhere we can. And the ability to use functional inks. So remember, inks that don't just look pretty or look beautiful, but actually serve a purpose. Imagine an ink that can talk to your phone, for example, Milo. Imagine trackable paper, where if I send you a magazine and you have the app, I could tell you, okay, this guy's had my magazine in his house for 3 weeks before he threw it out. Or imagine going shopping, smart packaging, where I could take a box and then just walk out of the store with it and not have to go to a checkout line where I have to stay in line and scan the product. I could actually just walk out and the inks will create electromagnetic signature that will say, okay, Milo, you're walking out with a carton of milk and you have your phone on and the app on, so it's automatically going to deduct it from your virtual wallet. So especially when you look at COVID, where people don't really necessarily want to be standing in line and handing stuff, by being able to replace the barcode from something that you can scan to something that you could just pass has immense applications. Think about FedEx for a second. So right now, things like chipless RFID. FedEx delivers 13 million packages per day. And each package has, let's say, 10 touch points. And then imagine each package takes 1 second for the driver or the operator or the guy to actually flip the package to find where the barcode is and scan it. Imagine you were to save that many millions of seconds per day by being able just to take the box and throw it in the truck, and there is a antenna on the truck that will read the barcode as it comes in, or as it comes into your office or into your warehouse. It automatically does these things at a very cheap, reasonable cost. The savings could be enormous. So printed electronics is something that I think a lot of printers should keep an eye on, because right now, especially digitally printed electronics, everything is in lab form, but now is just about to go into production, meaning you can now do industrial production with digital equipment. So, I mean, this is going to be a really fun market to keep an eye on. I think printed electronics is the future of industry, to be honest with you.
Okay, Paul, you raised the hand. Paul Sheffield, yeah.
You're on mute.
Hi, yes, too many buttons to press. Kevin, just for my benefit, in the digital world of embellishment, what analog processes can be replaced at the moment using digital devices?
So foil stamping equipment. Okay, you can do foil stamping, you can do spot UV, you can do embossing. And then you have companies like Hycon who can do the die cutting and the creasing. So I would say on the embellishment side, and even now the laser stuff is really getting pretty intricate. From a functional standpoint, you can pretty much replace everything that's being done fundamentally, or replicate everything that's being done fundamentally using a digital process, but not necessarily addressing the same markets or size runs. So just like when offset printers bought digital presses, it wasn't necessarily to replace them. It was to like put another weapon in their arsenal to go after another segment of the industry. And I think that's kind of where this digital embellishment fits. It's not necessarily poised to replace. Most of our customers, many of our customers are people who have all that traditional equipment. And based on the job that comes in, all right, this job is best for my Bobst, this job is best for my Scodix, or this job is best for my Duplo, or this is best for my Sakurai, whatever it might be. They're able to actually play that game where they can easily, just like a press.
Thank you.
So where does an MIS fit into this whole mess?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I think today, a lot of these traditional foil stamping and finishing equipment, to be honest, is difficult to estimate the cost. You never really know what your cost is. You have to get an approximate. The ability for digital to be able, before you even go to press, to be able to tell you, okay, this is going to cost you, $10.76 ahead of time, will allow from an MIS perspective to be able to estimate better, and obviously to be able to make more profit. I think if you're able to estimate and price better. And the big problem when it comes to pricing, Joanne, is that most of our customers doing this digital embellishment, they're used to what? They're used to, all right, it costs me this much, so I'm going to sell it for this much. And the problem with digital is now it costs me this much. And automatically the printer says, well, I'm just going to add my 30% on top of it. And that's the wrong way to approach the market. And that's why we do so much sales training to say, look, the market will bear this. Your production is here. The market has bared this for 60 years because it costs this much to do traditionally. So they're used to paying this. So don't commoditize this stuff. There's no need to. God, we learned our lessons. Let's keep the prices high. And then when enough people have embellishment equipment out there, all right, maybe the prices will start coming down and there'll be another groundbreaking technology to make things different. But I think estimating and pricing is one of the biggest things we have to educate printers on, at least when it comes to the digital embellishment side.
I don't think most printers have learnt the lesson about giving all savings away based on new technology. It's been going on for years and years and years.
So what's the way through?
We've got computer to plate now, 20, 25 years ago, and all the savings were given straight away to the clients.
A day later.
Right.
Yes.
So how do you fix that?
You make a cartel where everyone keeps their prices high, and you all agree to keep your prices high.
Yeah.
And then you all get thrown in prison.
And you got to walk around with a bat and beat people on the head when they give out stupid pricing.
Do you think if they had better salespeople, that we wouldn't have this issue? Or if creative agencies or PMCs were to merge with printers, that they'd be able to keep the prices higher?
An agency's never going to merge and be a printer because they see equipment sitting there not running, and that scares their accounting department. Been there, seen it. It's bad. They won't do it. They want a separate vendor.
At the end of the day, everything, the selling of what we do comes down to the printer, and it is their fault. And it is every printer's individual fault if they are not doing what they need to do to run their business properly, entertain their customers in the sense of giving them what they want, bringing them new ideas. If you're just going to be an order taker, go work at McDonald's drive-through, because that's all that it is.
And some printers do exactly that. Period.
And by the way, and there's some of them that make a lot of money doing that, and kudos to them. To all the others that bitch and complain, we got to get rid of them. So Kevin, maybe you should be making like MGI bombs and send out samples to printers you know that are no good, and wipe them out in a shop. Because I'm getting to the point where literally every conversation is the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we sell? Well, wake up. I never had a problem selling. So why is everybody just so out to lunch?
Mark Stevenson, then Gareth, please.
Gareth's asking.
Mark Stevenson, then Gareth.
Okay, I'll be quick, Gareth. Kevin, an industry type question. Sorry about this. You've got quite a big ownership by MGI. Do you think that gets in the way of you reaching into some? I mean, for instance, at Fujifilm, we're doing shows with all kind of partners doing different things like finishing, embellishment, whatever. But because of the Konica Minolta link up, I think people would get a little bit antsy if I said to Kevin, "Hey, let's do a show together. I'll do some printing. You embellish it."
Listen, Mark, I don't know how to answer that question other than let's dance. You know, look, Konica owns a percentage of the company. But has purposely not bought 100% of the company, because then we would lose what's our strength at MGI? Those of you who know us and who've known us for years knows that it's our speed. So we're
Kevin's the strength.
Huh?
Kevin's the strength of MGI.
Oh, Warren, no, it's
Innovation.
I think it's an innovation mixed with entrepreneurship and understanding that speed is more important than size. So I think, you know, when you look at MGI, we're very independent on how we develop products, how we go to market, how we test them, and how we create, you know, some of these market areas. Digital embellishment, for example, in 2008 didn't exist. And then on the last pub, I told you guys how we accidentally invented, you know, digital spot UV because, you know, we can get our act together on the inkjet press, which is a really crazy story. But, you know, I think that's the strength. So, I mean, Mark, if you have a want, for example, to work with MGI, just work with MGI and say, hey, MGI.
Your products are distributed by Konica Minolta in Europe. So
so you're talking about distribution. Well, listen,
and that as well. It's you know, they work hand in hand, don't they? So it just look. Do you think that limits where you can reach? Because some of Konica Minolta's competitors would say, well, we'll talk to Skodix or we'll talk to,
and that's what's happened.
That's
what's happened.
Guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's happened. And to be honest with you, it's what I worry about is, can my press work with what people have in the print shops? And that's, you know, as soon as I start thinking about all the ancillary stuff and not focusing on what truly matters, meaning a guy who has my kit in the back, will he be able to use what he has already and make money with those things using our press? That's important. So I have lots of customers, Mark, that has J presses that work really well, and it's fantastic.
I've got
color
some.
ink.
I've got some as well.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think that the finished product is what's most important. And the fact that we're completely device agnostic, meaning we play with everybody in the sandbox. I think Konica Minolta presses only account for maybe, you know, 10% of our installs, 75% of our next to Indigos. And, you know, that goes to show that at the end of the day, it's not necessarily go-to-market strategy. It's the customer who's going to make the decision. It's not necessarily, you know, who's distributing it. It's about the product itself. So that's what we worry about, is the product. And we let the politics happen above
leave it
above
to
our
somebody
heads.
else.
Yeah,
Good idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Gareth, please, and then Rob.
Yeah, I was going to come back to Warren. They have the BPIF, the British Printing Industries Federation. They do a survey every quarter, and every time for the last X number of years, they ask printers what their biggest concern is, and every time it is, Our competitors are pricing below cost every bloody time.
By the way, you know how many times I've spoken to a client where he said, I got a better price, and I said, you know what?
Go.
I'll take 20 off. I want to see the quote. And when I had the opportunity to see the quote, 9 out of 10 times it was not exactly the same quote.
Yeah. But
so it's whining and complaining.
Yeah. Kevin, can you bring us up to speed with the the Gee Whiz wonderful Alpha machine?
Oh, all right. So
it is, because most of them have probably never even come across it, let alone.
So the Alpha Jet. All right, I promised I wouldn't be plugging equipment, but it is awesome tech, so I might as well tell you guys what we're doing. It's totally unlike anything that's out there. It's more of a factory than a press, right? And so basically, it's a press that takes B1 sheets, but what's crazy is right now we're saying it does paper, but we can do like glass, we can do metal. We're gonna be able to do a lot of different types of substrates that goes up to B1 or 2 B2s or 3s. And basically, all it does is it's combining inkjet printing, varnishing, spot UV varnishing, dimensional, and foil in one single pass. And the thing is, it's not like a left to right or right to left feed. It's a circle. So basically, the sheet goes on like almost a carousel. That's maglev. So we're using magnetic levitation technology, stuff like you see on the bullet train or
Birmingham Airport.
The Hyperloop tech. Yeah, and basically it's kind of going around on a big metal electromagnet that's shooting it around. And basically the idea is to be able to do digitally print, varnish, foil, and down the road printed electronics, all built into one single pass in one single machine on one single sheet. So that's kind of the big thing we've been working on it for 10 years, and it's like an ongoing joke at MGI at this point that every time we're about to release it, we discovered something else, and then we've been holding all our cards really close to the chest because we don't really want to come out with it, but until we're ready to tell everybody. But it's going to be insane what it does in terms of just integrating some of this future tech into current tech, so that anyway,
when can we
as much as I'm going to go, Gareth.
Rob, you mentioned you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I'm going back to the discussion we had on value of print when you get into short run digital foiling. It's interesting to note that the traditional printers have had no problem understanding when to cut their losses or when to move over and transition from an offset press to a digital press, and it always had to do with cost per sheet. As soon as you get into the low runs, the make readies take too much time, and then they move over to their digital presses. The exact same is true with a digital foiling press. So if you go to a digital foiler, there's a point of where it's not profitable to do a run of 100. Maybe the question over to Warren: why would it be so difficult for a traditional printer or a commercial printer to not understand that and to set their pricing much closer to? It should actually be higher than the long run.
All my pricing was done as per what it was that I was doing. Nothing was looked at to compare or to compete. The cost was the cost. The markup was the markup.
But if you had an offset press, you would know when to stop that offset press and move your stuff over to digital.
Whoa! Stop with the moving. Why are you moving my stuff? I hate when you people move my stuff. Okay? Don't tell me where to print. It's printing where it's printing because it works for me.
Okay,
so
you tell me when you decide to move over and do short run, move it to digital, or move your long run to digital short run.
I'll work it on the best piece of equipment that suits my shop at the time that the customer needs it in. End of story.
But there is a point where you switch over.
No, you say there's a point. I say I sell the customer. If I'm selling the customer at any price and I'm comfortable making money, who are you to tell me at what point to switch over? That's part of our problem.
If you had an order of 100, would you do it on your offset press? No way.
If I could sell it, I would. You're not listening to me. I'm the salesman. Wherever I could sell to make money, I sell however I can. You, the manufacturer, trying to put me in a place where's the point? Why does there have to be a point? Who said there's a point? Who made up this point? Who made digital different than conventional? No, because you're all crazy. No, you're all looking for things that don't have to exist, and then you're looking to build on it. A good salesperson will sell at the price.
Well, I think you
Okay.
guys are both saying the
You'd be
same
a good
thing.
person to adopt MGI technology.
I think Warren is saying that it doesn't matter. You don't need to know if I'm printing it offset or digital. And I
Correct.
think Rob is saying on the back end, when do I know when to do the switchover from a manufacturing cost saving? So it's two different angles of the same.
Well, no.
Hang on,
If you're talking from the printer saving money, this is how I do it. I'll do my digital estimate. I'll do my conventional estimate, and I will sell what leaves most cash in my business that I could sell. I'm not selling for the cheapest.
But the reason I mentioned this is that if a digital or a commercial traditional foil job is selling for $10, and why would anybody in their right mind sell a digital foil for $2? You can achieve.
Well, no. First of all, you can't sell a digital anything for $2 because digital on the per unit is more expensive.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
Right.
So
it depends on the run, right?
But
in general, though, digital more for less, conventional less for more. We sell the digital to make more money on less and handle the rush. So just in this conversation, everybody's looking at it in the way that suits them. There's fundamentals that need to be looked at.
So then, Kevin, why would it be so hard to sell at a higher price? Why are people selling at such a low price then?
Because they're stupid.
Because they're shit. They're not very good at what they do. At the risk of being contrary, can we possibly go back to Kevin's topic about his MGI? Because I've been dying to hear more about that, and all I'm hearing is people whining about money. There's loads of money to rush around.
Do you have a specific question, Paul, to ask?
No, I really, that last one they was talking about, I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to see that and get my hands on that. But no, I've seen the MGI Jet Varnish. What a formidable product that is. Fantastic.
Do you have anything else?
But where's it going? That's what I want to know, where it's going. What's next?
So from a technology standpoint, I kind of give you guys a head. So basically, we're developing like a platform for like every budget. So like the big guys and little guys can all take part if they want to get into it. But where it's going, I think, and the most important where it's going is not necessarily where the technology is going, but where the market adoption is going. And I think some very brilliant campaigns are starting to drive market adoption. For example, Kelvin, imagine tomorrow you open up your mail and you get a bottle of Macallan 18 that you open. You go, oh man, Kevin got me an awesome gift for you open it up and guess what?
You better.
Yeah. And guess what? On that bottle of Macallan 18, it says Kelvin Bell in Boston Gold.
Yeah.
Or imagine Sharon, I'm sending you for your birthday a Dior gift box, and you open up the box and there's the Dior logo and it says Sharon Miller on it in Boston Gold. My question is, once you're done drinking that whiskey, if you even crack that bottle open, because you might want to put it up on your mantle for a little bit, or Sharon, once you're done with the products, what do you do with the empty box?
Keep
You
it.
throw it away. You keep it.
Keep it.
Right? Sharon's probably going to repurpose it and put postcards in it. And then Kelvin, you're going to keep that up your mantle and tell everybody about that one time that, Macallan sent you a personalized bottle. So by being able to personalize foil embossed at a large scale, because it's all variable, imagine the ability for a box or packaging to be more valuable to the brands than the product that's actually inside. Because when you're done with those products, you throw them away, but you repurpose the box and you're going to see Dior every day, or you're going to see Macallan. So that's where I think there's an opportunity to drive a beautiful story, is to be able to make personalized bespoke packaging that stays in the house or in the office.
So can I just ask, this is a proven concept because Coca-Cola proved it, didn't they? People, they added a third to their sales because people wanted a can or a bottle of soda pop that went on the shelf and had people's name on it. It drove extra sales in a market where they're already at maximum. So that's a proven concept. But Neil, you deal with luxury brands all the time. You've got loads of luxury brands that you're getting involved with. Is this something that they're asking for?
No.
They don't know it exists.
This is the problem. I mean, I wanted to throw a few questions at Kevin a while back because Kevin, you stated about an agency comes in, pays a printer $1,000 a day to get a whole range of samples, or whatever. I ran a print business many years ago and for quite some time, and there wasn't one agency or marketing company that were willing to pay for samples, etc. They would bounce it straight back and say, but it's in your benefit to provide them all free of charge. So, and the problem with that was that I could then spend every day doing samples for every marketing company and agency who would take my samples, sell the idea and concept to their client, and then go to market and find the cheapest person that would do it for them. So there was no, that's a problem printers have. But in regards to where I am now, and I deal with a lot of very big brands, from Bacardi through to a lot of whiskies companies and different brands, and currently they are not looking for embellishments and ways to spend more money. They're looking at ways to get the print they do now at half the price, and they use our software and our abilities within the solution that we provide to beat up the printer, because our software is going to provide it quicker in the format that they need to print it straight away from. So it saves money on the printer side, and they say, as you're saving money, we want that money back, or some of that money back, to save their money. So I'm not sure, especially at the moment with COVID.
Neil, I'm sure that's absolutely true, but I could tell you in my experience with the luxury brands, Dior wants to kick Chanel's ass, and any edge that they might get from a creative standpoint, they're going to try to take it, especially when it comes to luxury brands who are willing to spend a little bit more to be different from the other one. I mean, that's really where value, again, we have different experiences. Value is the most important.
Except for that brand will go to an agency and get that idea, and then go to two agencies to see who can do it cheaper or get it cheaper from the cheapest printer. So it always falls back down the chain. That's the problem.
Okay, Sharon, please.
So I was listening to a guy from Unilever talking about the subject of personalization, and he said low-end brands, they want to do personalization, like Kit Kat and Coca-Cola and whatever, they're commodity brands. The delivery of it is a problem, getting it to supermarkets, because you don't want personalization in a supermarket unless it's en masse. But the high-end brands don't want it. They see it as a cheap, making their product cheap, making it too in your face. They want something, to be high-end. People aspire.
Not sophisticated. Yeah.
If I could
He was struggling with both
Yeah.
ends of the scale. He couldn't deliver personalization en masse. And when he had something that was a high-value product that you possibly could target, the brands were thinking that's a low-end pitch. So we've got
It
some
is,
education to
and
do
it
there,
competes with the brand itself. That's the problem. If you make the person the brand, which is what personalization does, then the brand itself is diminished.
It. Yeah.
But there's the bigger market is, of course, that commodity market that you mentioned. Kit Kat, M&Ms here in the States do it. A variety of them. The little hearts, I forget what they're called for, Valentine's Day.
Hershey Kisses.
Yeah, all that stuff is personalized, and it works. But that, to Warren's point, that's not the SMBs of the world that the majority of the market comprises. And but I think the idea of the concept of the sale of value is really the thing that's holding people back. And with less volume and less spit on my screen, I agree with Warren that a lot of the value needs to be explained to the printer so that they begin to understand what it is that technology can do and who it's valuable to. I beat the drum one last time for this conversation. They need to move upstream and have the conversation with the creatives so they know what's possible. Then they'll integrate it into their marketing campaigns.
Okay, thank you, Sharon.
I just want to go back to the customer for a second. There are two kinds of customers. There's the customer that's interested in value and is loyal to their suppliers, and there's the customer that just wants to buy on price. So you have to decide who your customer is. And if you are not the person, if you don't want to sell on price, then customers that come to you and they want to buy on price, you don't sell to them. because they're not your target audience. So it's all about choosing your audience. You know, I'm moving house, and I'm looking for a mover, and I'm going to the mover that I used before. I'm getting one quote or one mover, and whatever he quotes me, I'm going to pay. I'm not going on price because I'm loyal to him. He's done a good job for me. And I don't care to go to someone who's going to do it for $500 cheaper because I don't trust them. So the most important thing is you have to start by saying, who is your customer? If your customer is arguing about price and you selling on value, they're not your customer. If you're selling on price, then sure, you can, you know, reduce by 10 cents to get the job, but you have to decide who your customer is.
I love that. Because sometimes, you know, you don't want necessarily a Louis Vuitton, and maybe you don't want one of those customers as a customer because, you know, it's got a lot of work and, you know, a lot of pressure. So deciding what kind of customer you want to go after and what kind of customer you want should always be part of your account management. You know, I was talking to the guy from Ice Blue Sky. He explained to me it in a great way, and you British guys are going to love it, and gals. He goes, look, there's 3 ways to go to market. Number 1 is, you know, the shotgun approach, which is like the infantry, right? You send in the infantry and they just shoot everybody, and whatever bodies are on the ground, they pick up, and that's who they killed. Okay, these are the customers I found. Then you have the SAS model, right? So the special forces, they know where all the exits are. They're well planned. They understand what the target is. They go in, they're going to go after maybe 20, 30 people. And then you have the James Bond model, where you're going to have one guy who's going to spend a month researching the account that he wants to get. He goes, this account will change my company. If I get this account, it's going to change my entire business. I'm going to spend all my time. And before I walk in there, I'm going to know everybody, the hierarchy, where the pain points are, what they need, and go in there. And so a big part of what he was telling me about was, you know, the best way to train printers on that model is what model applies to you, or what are your target customers that you want to go after, and are those really the customers that you really want, or the customers that you think you want? And I think that this is a great point.
Cool. I think we are running out of time slowly.
Yeah, just
anyone wants to mention anything, or
there's a couple of questions still. Sharon, sorry, did you have something there?
Kevin, a question that's not related to the specific print equipment, but as a road warrior and for other road warriors on the call, how is your selling technique going to change after COVID? Are you going to get straight back on the road and spend all that money on travel, or do you think you can do it, you know, from home now?
Hybrid way.
Honestly, I don't think I personally, I don't think anything can replace that face-to-face energy that you get when you get in the room. And you can read the subtleties, you can read the energies going on, you can have a conversation, a real conversation. I think a lot of that gets lost on Zoom. That's my opinion. So I think some stuff, like the boring stuff, I'll be able to do on Zoom, but the important stuff, I don't think you can do from virtual.
100%, I would agree with that. Yeah, you can't read people on a Zoom meeting where when you're in a meeting room, if there's any negativity because people are worried about their jobs because you're bringing in, you know, something like that, then you can read that and tell from people's body language. It's more meetings now. I'm cramming more in and not traveling as much, but I'm probably not hitting where I should be.
By the way, as soon as it opens up, like people are crammed right now, we forget how much we really like to travel and go to places, right? It's forgotten. We don't want to waste our time, but I like my points. I like my drinks. I like my friends that I don't get to see, right? And there is nothing better than human interaction. I think everyone's changed a little with all these Zoom calls because they're trying to put themselves in a new place in a new way. But as soon as we can get back to the old ways of high-fiving and doing shots with each other, we're right back in there.
Yeah.
Come on, Joanne.
I just wanted to make one really interesting point that might be lost on some of the folks here. So I know for a fact that Sharon and Carol have no knowledge of the print industry whatsoever until they started joining some of these calls. In fact, Sharon is like sending me messages, what's an MIS? What is embellishment? Which they don't know. My question is now, having been on some of these, how has your perception changed about what this industry can do for brands, for your customers? I'm so, and I know we're way over time, and maybe that's something for another discussion, but how have these non-print people, how has this opened up their eyes? Has it changed?
Well, I'm not really a non-print person because I used to buy print. In fact, the printers used to fight over my account. But I'm talking, a long time ago. But yes, I'm not in with all the MISs and the embellishment and stuff. I mean, it's a very different world today. But selling is selling. It doesn't matter if I'm buying print or if I'm hiring a mover. I am a customer who buys on value and I don't care about price. Of course, within reason, obviously, but I've never been one to sort of haggle over price because for me, I want value and I want a printer when I phone him up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and say, shit, I made a mistake. I need a banner for tomorrow. He's going to do it for me and I'm prepared to pay for it. So I'm the kind of customer you would have wanted. And, you have to choose which customers you want to go after. You either want customers like me who want value, or you want to go after the people that are nickeling and diming you. And both are good. You can make money using both, but you can't have a customer that's nickel and diming you and then complain because you've chosen the customer. I always say to the people I coach, you choose your own customer. And, even with my marketing consulting, I only work for companies of a certain size in a certain, that have a certain understanding of marketing. If I talk to the CEO and he doesn't value marketing, I'm out. I don't care how much he wants to pay me because it's no value to me.
And what about you, Carol? You've been very quiet.
That's right.
One thing that has changed is my approach. Before, I wouldn't go to bat for a print quote, and I think now I would with my clients, and maybe knowing more of what to ask for, and maybe considering other options, like what else can you do, what other value can you add, and be willing to pay for it. I generally have a greater appreciation for it. And I also have some sympathy for those printers that are not helping by lowballing the industry and bringing it down. I've experienced it myself in the e-commerce industry myself, and I sympathize. There's other industries that experience the same thing, and usually those companies die after a short period of time, but the problem is when one dies, another one comes back. So you have to find your ways to set yourself apart from those guys that have the lower price.
That's fair enough. Kevin, if we want to know more about MGI in the UK, where would we go?
David, raise your hand.
Thanks, Kevin.
He's right there.
And if he doesn't answer the phone, I'll help you.
Is there anyone else apart from David?
Yes, there's also Paul. I think Paul's on the call.
I was joking. It was a joke. So listen, Milo said, I mean, with an hour and 10 minutes, it's been great. Kevin, you've been awesome. You've been really good for a Frenchman. It's been absolutely really informative.
Kelvin, he's only French when he gets pulled over by the police in the States, and then vice versa when he's in Paris.
I think we all should break out. I think the people who speak French should just be speaking French right now, and that's it.
Voilà, je vais te parler en français maintenant.
On peut parler français. Toujours.
Parfait, ça marche.
You all know you should all be following us on LinkedIn because we do this every week to make sure everybody's okay. We love engaging with you. We like seeing you, making sure everybody's okay. A couple of new people, Carol Michelin. I'm a big fan of your tires. Welcome. Get that one in.
That's a good one.
So she's just joined the team at VPress. Welcome. This is her first time as well. Hopefully we've not scared her off as well. Everyone been absolutely brilliant. Kevin, thanks again. It's been really informative. I think we've got a couple that are starting to rack up different subjects every week now. We're going to keep this going as long as you want it. I think we've got Kyra Sarah coming in the next week or two to talk about their new kit. I've really enjoyed this. Everyone stay safe. Come back next week follow us on LinkedIn, and we keep doing this just to make sure that you're okay and keep engaging until we can get back out on the road and start networking again with a drink in our hand. So,
Oh man.
take
Yeah.
care.
Cheers, Kevin.
Thank you very much,
everybody.
guys.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
See you
Cheers.
next week.